Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with this live update as we go ahead and take a look at the current radar imagery and those temperatures across North Florida and South Georgia right now. You do see some of these different readings here across the viewing circle, and we have, for instance, 83 in toward Tallahassee. You see up toward Valdosta, a little bit cool right now. They're at 74 degrees there as they've had some shower activity around. And I know I've been looking at some of the different radar technology here today, and we'll pop up one of our radars here in just a moment for you so you kind of get another vantage point of exactly what is going on here across the region. I always like to switch radars just a little bit. We'll go over to the Valdosta radar first off on radar scope so you kind of see some of this accent as we get toward Madison County right now, for instance, even Hamilton County too. Even seeing some lightning here with some of the accent earlier. I know I heard some thunder around as we were toward this dark region as we were looking back toward the afternoon hours. But there's your current radar imagery right now. Again, you do see some of this shower accent as it's moving off toward the west here. Nothing too extreme, nothing severe expected, but still some downpours. And if you're on a road maybe headed home from work, that can cause some issues sometimes. So just be aware of that as we are looking here again toward parts of that Florida Big Bend as we're looking off that Moody Air Force Base radar right now. So south equipment, for instance, getting into some of the heavier accent, but even equipment, some of that's being felt there too. DuPont, a little bit of rain there. And then toward the north, you see some of the shower accent. This is off the Moody radar. We're going to go ahead and put me back on camera for a second now, and we're going to switch radars here as we try to give you a different vantage point of exactly what is happening. We'll go over toward the Jacksonville radar where some of the accent's starting to retreat there, but you'll still be able to see what I'm talking about as we get toward areas there off the Jacksonville coast, for instance. There's some more shower activity trying to work its way there toward the coast. I know we saw an explosion of accent here earlier. We've been seeing that around here. I know we've had that coastal flooding threat as well, so there's something to always be cognizant of here with this pattern. But as we get toward Levy-Dixie, we had a shower here that was a little more robust a little while ago north of Cedar Key, but luckily that's moving into the Gulf of Mexico now. And again, some of that accent there as we were looking off of our other radar there, you could see it better off of Valdosta Moody Air Force Base, but also seeing some of this accent toward Madison County, also Brooks County there, Hamilton. You kind of get the idea with some of the heavier accent there in toward those communities. So just be aware of that. Have that umbrella on hand as the sun is going down here on your Tuesday. But right now, let's go ahead and look at some of the different cameras here across the region. We'll start off with the baseball grounds in Jacksonville. That sun's going on down right now. You can kind of see that nice look to the sky, a pretty nice sunset in some of these spots potentially, just depending on where you're at. And then as we get over toward the UF Weather Stem camera now, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, you'll be able to see that pinkish sky there. Again, a pretty nice evening overall as you're getting towards some of these spots where you're not under that sour activity with those temperatures here that are pretty reasonable right now. As we already alluded to, 75 there in Gainesville, for instance, right now, and then 76 in toward that Jacksonville area at the Jacksonville International Airport. And in Tallahassee, a little warmer there, a little less cloud cover overall. You'll be able to see what is happening as I switch you away right now. I know UF's had some issues there with the coronavirus impacting their football team. Hopefully things improve there. But speaking of football teams, I know things much different situation there toward Tallahassee at the present time with FSU getting that big win still on cloud nine, really coming off of the victory against the victory. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Hopefully we get a victory against Louisville, but getting ahead of myself. We're talking about that victory against North Carolina on your Saturday there against the number 5 Tar Heels. But of course the team has to turn the pace here as I was alluding to, playing Louisville this Saturday. They're up in toward parts of Kentucky there, and right now we're an underdog even though they're not ranked. They've only won one game. It could be a pretty tough battle. I know the weather conditions looking like going to be in the 50s there for most of that game, maybe inching up towards 60, and it's going to be pretty cloudy too, so not going to be seeing a sight like this it doesn't seem, unfortunately, as we're getting up toward Louisville, Kentucky there for the game Saturday, as we're looking toward that region there in toward still the ACC territory. I know we're almost to Ohio and out of the ACC region, but Louisville is in that ACC footprint, of course. So again, looking forward to that battle here against the Cardinals. Seminoles Cardinals there on Saturday at noon on your regional sports network. And again, we're just kind of giving you that overview of the situation here. We'll be looking at that forecast as we're looking toward Saturday. And on Friday, I'll have a comprehensive look at that weather outlook for that Saturday game there up at Louisville. But right now, we're going to move away from weather stem, putting that radar back on here as we're getting toward areas in toward that Florida, Big Bend, and southwest, south central Georgia, getting into some of the sour accent as we're looking there again near I-75, near I-10. You kind of get the idea as we go ahead and start to transition. I just want to make note that, of course, we're kind of here with you on all of our different platforms right now. Since we've had some technical difficulties, I thought I would just go ahead and stream to all the different platforms today, see if all the bugs are worked out. And it looks like right now, at least, the bugs do look to be worked out, and that's some good news for everybody. Not expecting any severe weather in the short term, but of course, if we have severe weather maybe later on in the winter period, we'll just, of course, want to have everything worked out so things are running efficiently. No severe weather expected this week, though, and that is good news. Next week could be a different story where we might have a change in the pattern with some cool air coming in, but it's too early to get into many details regarding that. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. And really the same thing in the tropics right now as we look toward, we have Epsilon. That's not going to affect us here, and that's good news. But we do have another system I keep watching. I mean, a 10% chance of development within the next 5 days here toward the Caribbean still. The chances have gone down, so that's something that's on our side. But we still have to just pay attention because that's still a favored area, and you just never know here this time of year. You just got to be watching. But we're going to go ahead and talk about Epsilon for now, as that is a stronger tropical storm, even seeing an eye getting itself going there as we're looking there toward the southeast of Bermuda. Now, Bermuda, they are under a tropical storm watch as they're watching for some of these conditions there to affect them. The maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour, that movement off toward the northwest at 13 miles an hour, and the barometric pressure down there, the barometric pressure, the minimum pressure down to 992 millibars. That's a change here from what we were looking at there yesterday. And in fact, I know we were talking about that eye. I'm going to try to pull this up real quick here, and just bear with me because I just was seeing some different things on satellite. I thought it might be interesting to see if we can get this on here, but I have to be kind of careful because we want to try to isolate the satellite imagery so we're not pulling too much internet power for everybody here at home. So we're going to try to look there. Yeah, we got it up here, in fact, and you see the eye. So I don't think we're pulling too much internet power. So that's something that's on our side as we go ahead and zoom on in here, and I'll go ahead and switch systems. We'll go ahead and look now as we move away from the graphics for the moment. You see that eye here trying to get itself going, and it's already got going here really as we're looking again southeast of Bermuda. There's something to watch here as we look ahead in the timeline as we go back over toward that track there. For now, you see it becoming a hurricane pretty soon, a pretty big wind field overall there as well. So that's something to kind of take note of too as we just kind of just monitor things here in toward that timeline, in toward the period, because you see that northerly turn, but then it's going to move away from the U.S. for sure. We're really confident in that, and that's something that's really good news this time of year. No direct threats here at the present time to the U.S. from any tropical cyclones, and as we start to run the clock out in the hurricane season, that would be something that would be great to see if we can just keep these systems out to sea, not affecting us, because eventually the conditions won't be favorable for development anymore. But we still have to watch there in the Caribbean. You can't just let your guard down yet, because we're probably going to still see some more named storms, and things aren't over yet. Got to still have that hurricane kit up to date. As we look here at a model ensemble mean, you see through early Friday, October 30th, you see the development here that we've talked about with Epsilon curving away, but we still have a few runs here, a few different looks at things trying to develop something toward the Caribbean, and there's still a couple lines here, a couple possible scenarios here where something could move toward Florida according to the European model, their different suite there. So we're just going to have to continue to watch as we look ahead in the timeline, because things could start to become more robust once again closer to the U.S. if things follow climatology, really, because this time of year we still can see some things evolve. I mean, the chances are starting to dip. I'll see here in a moment. They're really starting to dip, but this has been such an active hurricane season. We have to pay attention because we still had a storm like Wilma in 2005 take a path really similar to what the climatology suggests, so we just can't let our guard down here yet, but hopefully we'll be able to do that pretty soon, but not an all clear by any means at the present time. As you look here, you see we're starting to fall off. We're now at October 20th, and we're really starting to get on that downslope for development, but right now we're talking about the number of storms per 100 years. I mean, if you do the average here, we have one, so still really you could say we're, it's kind of hard to use statistics like this, but what I'm trying to say is you could still say that we're still in hurricane season, as the statistics for this year alone was so that we do have that storm out here, and generally you wouldn't have that, so you just have to be continuing to pay attention here. Again, you wouldn't normally have that, so rainfall forecast next 7 days does have some moisture there off toward the Gulf of Mexico. As we're looking toward southeast Florida, they're getting into some of the moisture here as we're getting toward areas like Miami-Dade and Broward counties. And then as we look up toward the north, you see maybe a frontal system trying to have an influence as we get toward Missouri, Oklahoma, Illinois, Indiana. Some of those rainfall amounts starting to add up, so it's always interesting to look here at what might be in our future as we start to see the weather pattern shift. But right now, a little funner topic here at the World Series Game 1. It's going to be getting going there in about an hour or so with first pitch in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field. The Tampa Bay Rays versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. So a local rooting interest for sure for those Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, you have for Tampa Bay, for instance, the manager, FSU graduate there, Kevin Cass, and then for the Gators, you have a member of that baseball family there too, with Maizanino, the catcher. So something that is really interesting to see. FSU fans, Gator fans can kind of unite here, I guess, to root for the Tampa Bay Rays for once here, as low 80s look to be the story for this game. No rain chance though, and that's good news. The roof looks to be open, a little breezy, but not as breezy as it's been, as mostly clear skies should prevail here. But in terms of the actual game forecast, unfortunately, the Dodgers, they've just been so tough. They have the best record in baseball. I know Tampa's done really well here too, but it looks like it's going to be the Dodgers just based on a game prediction that I'm making. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't follow Major League Baseball too much, but right now I have the Dodgers winning here in 6 games based on everything I've seen with the different analytics and just watching the two teams there, especially over the last 7 games there in their NLCS run for the Dodgers and ALCS run for the Rays. So we'll watch. Hopefully the Rays can pull the upset and win that first World Series, but right now it looks like the Dodgers are going to win based on just everything I'm looking at here. First time since the 80s, but hopefully I'm wrong. I don't follow baseball too much. I was wrong on the North Carolina-Florida State game on Saturday, so hopefully our Tampa Bay Rays can get that done here for the state of Florida. But as we go ahead and bring things back to home right now, you can kind of see here with that Jacksonville-Gainesville area forecast, there's rain chances 40-50%, and those temperatures pretty steady, but above average here for this time of year, but it makes things pretty nice overall. And then those lows there, you kind of see the disparity, 8, 9, 7 degree difference, but still, for this time of year, at least you don't really need a jacket, unlike what they're going to be seeing up toward Louisville for that game on Saturday against the Seminoles. And then as we look toward your Tallahassee-Valdosta area forecast, you see 40-50% chances of rain there, and then those temperatures in the 80s here again, as I've alluded to, those lows in the upper 60s, and that average low 56, so we're pretty far departure from that right now, at a pretty far departure. So something to kind of see there as we go ahead and give you another look at radar scope right now. I have that Valdosta radar pulled up, give you that look here at the radar from just a few minutes ago. It's updated here as of 7:05. So we'll go ahead and put that on the screen. You see south equipment right now, some of the action getting going there. South areas there of Madison, even as we're looking toward that Florida Big Bend and closer toward the Swanee Valley, really as you get toward Hamilton County. So just something to kind of see here on our technology. I do have a couple more things to talk about real quick. the main thing here is going to be just getting on to that topic about some snow. We've been talking about the cool weather trying to infiltrate eventually, but we already have some snow and some cooler temperatures getting into toward Minnesota right now. So that's kind of a sight to see. So I have our GR Earth computer popped up to show you that right now. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about as we get toward Minneapolis, where they've seen 6, 7, 8 inches of snow fall. They are in toward these regions. You see the latest imagery just coming in, and definitely a sight to see. And then up toward Duluth, getting into some snow as well. And these temperatures here kind of tell the story, getting to that criteria just enough there, just cool enough to get into that snow. But you see the warmer temperature, at least for now, as we're looking toward the south here, toward areas like La Crosse. So just something to kind of compare and contrast with as we're looking toward some of these different communities. I know Iowa got in that snow yesterday. Cedar Rapids and Des Moines getting that first snow of the season. That pretty much does it for now. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be back tomorrow exclusively on Facebook, just to kind of clarify. Sometimes get a little confused as we're switching things and having some difficulties, but we're going to be exclusively on Facebook here tomorrow as we do our update in the same time range. But for now, hopefully those Tampa Bay Rays get that win over the Dodgers tonight and start the series off with a 1-0 lead as we're looking toward Arlington, toward Globe Life Field there. We'll go ahead and pop the current conditions up there right now. We'll be able to see what is happening. You see 84 there right now, 88, some of the different airports in the region, 88 in fact at the Arlington Municipal Airport. And then the current radar picture shows one that looks to be pretty dry right now. As I broaden the view out, the closest sour axle is really, really far away. You have to look all the way up to parts there, it looks like of southwestern Missouri, really, to find anything, or in the Gulf of Mexico even, as I broaden it out for you just a little bit more. So that's some good news for everybody. I'll be back tomorrow again on Facebook, so tune in then at about the same time for the latest information on your forecast. Thanks so much for tuning in.